any chance that I can get, I'm going to put myself in environments, networks, groups, communities, or teams where I can thrive. And for a long time, it was really just me trying to find the right tribe or the right people to be around because I was living in Chicago at the time and I had great friends, but a lot of the people I would spend time with were doing the same things over and over every weekend. They were having very shallow conversations. They were chasing after women. They were, boozing and staying up until 2, 3 a.m. on the weekends. And it just became very old, very quick for me because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to find like my groove outside of the game. And I knew that wasn't going to come from doing what everyone else was doing. So it was pretty lonely for several years there. I kind of had to isolate in order to reassimilate and find the right people. It took a lot of time. I ended up moving to San Diego where like mindfulness, wellness, mental health, coaching, yoga, all these things are just like blossoming and taking off. And I was like, maybe this is where I can find some community. And I mean, lo and behold, I found a lot of that here. It hasn't been perfect. I think, this place has its strengths and weaknesses too. But there's a lot of people doing beautiful things out here and on the same kind of wavelength, for lack of a better term. So, it was a lot of isolation that led me to being able to find the right people.
Where were you living before you moved to San Diego?
Chicago.
In Chicago, so
Yeah,
still around like Northwestern friends and all of that.
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you like, uh, I would imagine when you were in college, you have your teams. It's incredible that you played both baseball and football in college. That's not something that two sport athletes in college are really rare.
I'm an
Uh,
overachiever, Cole.
um, I mean, I'm serious though. I mean, I think that must have been a lot of work to balance, school, to balance sports, to balance the meetings, to balance the workouts and everything else. Doing it with one team is tough. To do it with two, I would imagine, is just a lot of headspace. So, clearly are capable of achieving at a high level. Um, you graduate. Was there any thought of playing like professional sports after college?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to do after college was like I did pursue the NFL. I had a tryout with the Bears. I was like close to getting drafted by the Packers. I wanted to be like a Clay Matthews type outside linebacker. But I had some injuries my senior year, two wrist surgeries and a groin injury. It wasn't the end of the world. Wasn't the end of the world to me though. I was like, if I've made it here and I have a chance, why not go after it? But it wasn't so ingrained in my identity and my sense of self, thankfully, that like I could kind of move on pretty quick. Now, moving into what's next was different, but moving on away from sports was not hard. Um, I did, though, think about going and playing overseas, playing in Europe, because I had read a great book called Playing for Pizza about this guy who goes overseas and plays in Italy. And like,
Huh.
he has this really cool experience. But honestly, I chickened out because at the time, concussions were a big issue. And I had a girlfriend back in the States. So I was like, like, is it really something I want to go and risk? I was much more risk averse back then. I was much more, I have all these dreams and ambitions, but I wasn't really ready to really go after them and burn the ships. It wasn't until about 5 years later that I finally took the plunge and made a lot of changes. Got my first tattoo, moved across the country, started a business. Like it took me some time to kind of be sick of hearing my own, cyclical thoughts that the
Yeah.
same thing every 6 months. I would say like, oh, I'm going to start the business or I'm going to do this. And then I wouldn't do it. I was scared.